that gets sent to the General Assembly and the governor. This meeting is going to be recorded, so just to let everybody know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a basic presentation that talks a little bit about what the report is and why it's important. And then I want to go into some resources that any businesses can use to help complete the report and where they can go for more information and more help. So to go ahead and get us started, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm not too, Teams is not my forte, so still trying to work through some of the menu items they have here. But okay, so this is Department of the Environment's annual business recycling report. That's what the presentation is on. And like I said, my name is Tim Kerr. I'm from the Waste Department, our Waste Diversion Division of the Land and Materials Administration. So what is the annual business recycling report? Well, the Maryland Recycling Act requires each county and Baltimore City to meet certain recycling requirements. Recycling activities are conducted at the county level and Baltimore City. In Maryland, it's not carried on at the state level, but each county does report its information to the state on an annual basis. And the Maryland Recycling Act sets certain guidelines for how much recycling of solid waste each county or jurisdiction in the state is required to perform and do. And basically, it works out to if a county or jurisdiction has over 150,000 people in it, that county or jurisdiction is required to recycle at least 35% or more of their solid waste. For smaller counties, less than 150,000 people, that threshold is 20% must be recycled. And there's certain factors that come into effect if a county cannot meet that particular recycling target. But pretty much just about all the counties do each year. And what we do is we collect that information from each county on an annual basis, and we end up reporting it to the governor and the General Assembly. So each county, because it's required to meet a certain recycling amount, relies on businesses to self-report their solid waste and recycling amounts on an annual basis so that when the counties report to the state, they have an accurate sort of representation of how much recycling is going on in the county. Now, this does not affect the curbside recycling. That's usually the county will have that information from its contracted haulers. But for individual businesses and other entities around the county, when they send their solid waste to either the landfill or for recycling, the county would love to have that information to include it in their report and help the county meet their state mandated goals. And so that's why we have this annual business recycling report, so that businesses can report this information to their county, wherever their business is doing their facility, where the facility is located. Okay. Maryland Department of the Environment consolidates all that data from each county into an annual report presented to the Governor and General Assembly. You can see an image of that report right there. And if you, this presentation will be posted on our website at the end of this, when we're done here. And if you want to go in and look at this presentation and you click on that, that report cover right there, you'll go to the most recent solid waste report where you can look at some of the information that MDE collects and some of the results that the counties report to us. Of course, the counties would like to have all their businesses in their jurisdiction report their solid waste and recycling amounts. This helps the county reach that 35% or 20% recycling goal. Accurate accounting allows the counties to better service their residents and businesses' collection needs. If there's a need for more recycling capacity in the county, if businesses are reporting all of their recycling to the county, they'll see that in their data that the capacity is not sufficient for the amount of recycling going on, or if we want to invest in another recycling facility, where could we put that, and what kind of capacity could that new facility expect? As of now, reporting for businesses in the state is voluntary, except for a few exceptions, which I'm going to get into here in just a second. So businesses, for the most part, and I'm going to caveat this as I go on to the presentation, are for the most part not required to report statewide. There's no statewide requirement for businesses to report their recycling to the counties, except for in one instance. But each county is free to make their own codes and ordinances that require a business to report to the county. So that's something that you'll have to look at the individual county where your facility is and see what their regulations or codes are for any reporting. But there are a couple of required reporting factors here. In 2021, Maryland passed a law requiring food waste or food residuals to be diverted from disposal in a landfill or incinerator if a facility generates a certain amount of food residuals. That law went into effect last year, and this year it continues in effect. Any business that is required by the law to divert their food waste from a landfill or incinerator and send it instead to an organics recycler or divert it for donation for food rescue organizations, they must also file a report with their local county every year on the amount of not only organic material, but all recycling that they carried out during the year, and all the solid waste totals as well. So how much solid waste did they send to the landfill or incinerator? How much recycling did they send to recycling processors, as well as how much food waste or organic material they diverted from landfills. So if you are a business that generates food residuals that can be disposed of or are disposed of in landfills, if you reach a certain amount, and that threshold is 1 ton a week of food residuals for this year, you must divert that food from landfills, and you must file with your local county about your recycling activities. So that's statewide. Any business that meets those food residual thresholds has to report. Also, the state does require certain businesses to carry out recycling activities. If a business runs an apartment or condominium complex, for instance, of 10 or more units, they are required by state law to provide recycling services for their residents. If an office building is over 150,000 square feet, the office building manager or the leasee is required to conduct recycling activities in that office as well. As far as reporting their recycling activities every year, that may be required by local jurisdictions and counties or not. That's where you would have to check with your local county to determine whether there's any reporting requirements. They do have to conduct recycling activities, but as far as the requirement to report, that's a county by county or Baltimore City decision. So the best advice I give you, and we'll talk about this a little further on, is if you are required by state law to conduct recycling activities, check with your county about any reporting requirements that they might have, and they will report that to us on an annual basis. It's suggested, though, that every business in the state report their recycling activities to their local county, because that will assist not only the county but the state in monitoring our recycling activities, determine how much recycling goes on in the state, and benefit the environment and the economy, because recycling can bring money to a local jurisdiction as well. So all businesses are encouraged and suggested to report. And I hope with these new methods of reporting, it'll be easier and businesses will be more likely to do that. Okay. So let me just talk a little bit about the food residuals law. Any business or institution statewide that meets the requirements to divert food residuals must complete this business recycling report. And there's a link to the regulation right there. But those are the only statewide requirements for reporting. You must report not just your food residual amounts, but all recycling and solid waste amounts. So that would include any paper, metal, plastic, as well as any trash or garbage that the business produces. There's a link to our food residuals diversion webpage for more information and resources about that law. And you can go to that webpage and check that out. All right. So how does the business complete the report? Well, there's 3 ways that you can submit your business recycling report. There is a paper form that your business can fill out where it's sort of a table format. And I'll show you, there's a link right there to the paper form where you can download it, or you can check the MDE website for the paper form and download it. And you would fill that out and you would submit that directly to your county recycling office. What I want to talk about to you today is there's an online way to fill out your business recycling report through MDE or through your county recycling webpage. Some of the counties have direct links to the online form, or they have their own online form that businesses can use. What I'm going to talk about today is the online form that MDE has created that any business statewide can use. On the food diversion webpage, for instance, there is a link to the online report. You can see in the box right here where you can click on that, and you can both get the paper form and the online form on that webpage. There's several places that you can find it, but that's probably one of the easier ones right there. For assistance in completing the recycling report, we have created a business recycling report guide. And this guide basically takes you through the report and explains some of the different things that businesses would put onto the report and how to complete it. And this is the front page of the guide right here that you see. And when you pull up this PowerPoint, you can click on the link and it'll take you right to that recycling guide that MDE has created. So what I'd like to do now is just go through the guide real quick and show you some of the things that are on it. You can take a look at it more in depth at a later time, but I just want to introduce it to you and show you some of the things that are on it. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. And I don't know if that is still on the screen or not. Did the recycling report come up? I'm sorry?
You have to share a different screen.
Okay, share it again. All right. Let me share that one. How's that?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So this is what the form looks like. It's got a little introduction here. It goes over businesses that must file this annual report. And again, it mentions any business that's required to divert their food residuals and any business that's required to report based on local county or Baltimore City codes or ordinances. You can check your county recycling coordinator's office to determine any requirements where your business is located. It talks about how to access the report, just like we talked about. You can get the paper form or the online form. Online is sort of the preferred because that's sort of automatically records everything and provides it to the database. Some of the things to know as you're getting ready to complete the form, you want to sort of be able to identify your solid waste handlers and any recycling handlers or haulers that your business has a contract with. You want to keep a tally of the total weight of solid waste. This is material that's destined for landfills or incinerators, your trash basically, that is removed from your facility and its destination where your hauler takes that material. And the tonnage of recyclables that your business processes or your hauler takes from your facility. So that's something that you want to keep track of over the course of a year. And so you can record that information on your business recycling report. The paper copy of the report has further instructions for recording your information. This table that you see right here on the report it's not on the online report. It is on the paper report. And it's a way for you to give an estimate of how much solid waste and recycling that your business has generated. You can possibly get this information from your hauler. They might be able to give you directly the weight of the solid waste and recyclables that they have taken from your facility in an annual basis, or you could use one of these estimation tables. The estimation table basically relies on the size of your dumpster that you use in cubic yards and the number of dumpsters that you use and the frequency of their pickup. And you can take a look at all of this. So basically, just if you keep track of your dumpster number and size, and here's an example of some different dumpster sizes, you can estimate how much weight of solid waste was put into those dumpsters by using this table. If you have a trash compactor, it's going to be a little different calculation. And you can see down here at the bottom of the table, there's some lines for if you have a compactor. There's a different conversion factor that is used for compactors than non-compactors. So make sure that if you do have a compactor, that you're using the correct conversion factor. There's also a volume to weight conversion table for recycling. This is again on the paper form, but we will have links to these on the webpage as well. So you can see this table shows different material that are commonly recycled. It has a volume of container for the recycled material and an estimated weight. So most of the volumes are in cubic yards or gallons. Just to give you a visual representation of this, excuse me, 1 cubic yard of material is about the size of a single what's called a Gaylord box. And there's a picture here of that. It's 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. 1 gallon container, if that's the size of the container you're using to collect, for instance, food scraps or other recyclables, that's what a 1 gallon container looks like. And a 55-gallon container is basically an industrial trash can here. If you use that to collect your recyclables, some of the estimations up here use 55-gallon containers as their size. So just based on the type of container that you use to collect recycling, you can get an estimate of the weight. So you want to keep track of that every time a container is filled or your hauler comes and picks up that material. So this is some record you would keep. The paper form basically is looks like this right here. It's specific for businesses only. It allows businesses to detail the types and amounts of recyclables to their county so that they can report it to the state. And it supports the intention of an executive order put out in 2017. Again, the paper report looks like this. You can click on this link to access it. Do not send the report directly to Maryland Department of the Environment. We're not equipped to take those forms. You submit it directly to the county where the facility is located. And basically, it's got the same information as the online form, just in a different kind of format. So that's what that looks like. The online form, on the other hand, can be accessed through Maryland's Food Diversion webpage. There's a section that says New Food Residuals Diversion Regulations on the webpage, and there's a little link to the online form. Or if you have the guide in front of you, like we have here, you can directly click on that and it'll take you to that. When you first pull up the online form, the first thing it'll ask you is, are you a processor? By processor, we mean processor of recyclable materials. So unless your business is collecting, sorting, processing, and or marketing recycled materials, your answer should be no. So if you're just a office, for instance, and you're sending your paper and cardboard and any kind of plastic to be recycled, you're not a processor. You should put no right there. It gives you a second option. These are all drop-down menus, by the way, so you can click right on these spaces and it'll give you options. So next thing you want to do is indicate what county you're located in. And this way we can make sure that individual counties get the information that you're submitting on the online form. We pass it on to the county so that they can complete their forms. If you indicate Montgomery, Howard, or Frederick County in this spot, the form will send you directly to those counties' reporting web pages. All other counties in the state and Baltimore City, you'll just continue on with this form and complete it. So click down on that. It'll have all the counties and the city. You just click on whatever county your business is in. So this is what the online form would look like at the beginning. The next section is just for your general business information, address, contact information, things like that, company name. So you complete that. Then the next section you go down, this is the solid waste section. So this is the section where you're going to list the amount of garbage that goes to a landfill or incinerator. And you can get most of this information, like I said, from your garbage hauler, or if you have to estimate based on your dumpster size, you can do that as well. So this is where you just plug in the data that you capture over the course of your year. Everything's in tonnage. So make sure that if you have pounds, that you divide by 2,000 pounds to get tons, and put that information right here. We also need to know who's the waste hauler and how much of that waste went to Maryland facilities and how much went out of state. And again, you can probably get that information from your hauler. So that's the first section you will come across after your business information, and that is basically the solid waste section. The rest of the form is for your recyclable materials. And again, this is in tons. And the way these are listed, it's a long list of different materials. They're split down by category. So you'll see different categories here listed. And some categories, most categories, will have separate types of materials listed under that category. So for instance, a category might be paper, And materials might be things like cardboard, office paper, mixed paper, and so forth. So you're going to subdivide your recycling into different materials in different categories. If you didn't recycle any of a specific material, like you don't recycle asphalt, let's say, don't put 0 or NA in the space. Just leave it blank. That way, it'll just come up as blank. The next thing under each material that you want to put down is, it says contractor or market for the materials. Basically, just list the facility where your recycling went. So if your hauler takes the recycling to a county materials recycling facility, you would just list that down here. If there's a scrap dealer that accepts your recycling material, you would list them down here. So wherever your recycling goes, that's what you would list right here. So basically for your recycling, you would be listing the tons of each material that is recycled and where that material went, the contractor. And there's many different materials listed on the form. So here's some more, for instance. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back up real quick here. The first all the first categories on here, the first few categories are all categories that counties are required to report to the state by the Maryland Recycling Act. So those are common things like paper, plastic, metals, food waste, things like that. There are other material that is commonly recycled that aren't part of the Maryland Recycling Act, and we list those materials too. So if you go down, there's a category called other materials here. And basically, this is all the non-MRA materials. And if you want a definition of that, you can click on that and it'll give you a definition of what those materials are. Local jurisdictions still track this material, so they still need that information from businesses. So if your particular business recycles any of this material, we would like you to put that down as well. If you recycle something that's not specifically listed under materials in this section, there is an other choice at the bottom that you can put in whatever that material may be. Looks like this, materials other. You would just put the name of that other material and the tons recycled and where it went. Okay, so that's the online form. So basically you're just going down these drop-down menus and filling in material as you go. So that's why you want to keep detailed records over the course of the year. So when you fill out this report, you can just pull those numbers off your data and put them onto the report. So once you're done that, you're ready to submit. There's 2 places or 2 times you have to click submit. At the bottom of the page, after the other materials that we talked about, there's a red button that says submit. So once you've filled everything in and you've got everything down that you need, you can go ahead and submit. You click that, and what'll come up is a summary of all the information that you put into the form. It'll let you print a copy of that summary for your records, and we suggest that you print a copy for your records. And if you need to make any edits from that summary, you can go back into the form and edit it. If everything looks good, you printed out a copy and you're all ready. You can hit submit a second time, and boom, you're done. That gets submitted to us. And that's basically it. That's the online form. We want to try to make it as easy as possible for businesses all across the state to be able to complete this form and submit it into us. And what we'll do in the county is, at the state, is we'll send it to the county where you indicated on the form for their records. So you don't have to submit it twice. You don't have to submit one to the county and one to the state. If you have a choice, if your county has a way for you to submit the report to them directly, we would prefer you do that. But if your county, for instance, doesn't have a way to submit the material directly other than mailing in the paper form, you can go to the online form, indicate that county, and it'll get sent to us, and we'll send it to that county. So basically, we're trying to get all the businesses in the state to report their recycling so we can get a better handle on how much recycling is done, and that will allow us to, and allow counties to plan their resources based on the amount of recycling in the state. If you have any questions on completing the form or anything else about filing, you can contact either your county recycling coordinator. There's a link here that'll take you to all of their contact information, or you can contact us at the Waste Diversion Division at this phone number or this email right here. So that is the guide for completing the report. And again, that's online and you can access that guide. So let me go back to the PowerPoint here. Hold on a sec. Okay. And oops. If you have any other questions, there's my name, Tim Kerr. I'm as my email, and Shannon McDonald works along with me in the Waste Diversion Division. There's her email right there. And there's another link. This is on the PowerPoint to the county contacts if you have any questions. So that's pretty much going through the material. If you have any questions, I'll answer them in 1 second. We did have some people submit some questions on the registration form. And let me just go through some of those. One person commented, centralizing the reporting via a statewide reporting system would be beneficial for all involved. It would standardize and streamline the reporting for those of us with multiple facilities in different counties or cities, and it would allow us to benchmark based on industry. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for businesses, and we're trying to make it as accurate as possible for the counties to keep track of the total amount of recycling that is done in the county. And, you know, Maryland's goal is, as we go forward, is to recycle more and more material in the state. And it's very important that counties can get an accurate view or an accurate data on how much recycling people or businesses are doing in their jurisdictions. Is the Maryland law being enforced with people on the streets? I guess that would mean individual businesses and whatnot. Yes, it is. As far as the food diversion law is concerned, Shannon and I are in charge of that. And one of the requirements, like we said, is for those businesses to report. So when we do inspections on businesses for the food diversion law, we will. We also talk about the reporting requirements, and we should be getting some of those reports in the next few months for the first year of the program. What are the plans to get people to recycle more and to recycle right? This is one of the activities we hope will get businesses at least to recycle more and recycle right. We try to avoid contamination of any recycling material. If any contamination, if a bin, for instance, is for recycling is got too much material in it that's not recyclable, if it's contaminated with non-recyclable material, it will often be rejected at the destination, and it will be sent to landfill. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having that bin and filling that bin in the first place. So we are involved in education on that front, and through social media, and working with the counties to try to educate both the public and businesses on recycling activities and how to do those correctly. Someone asked about any grants to help support recycling activities. There's not any statewide grants right now. Individual counties may have programs, and you can check with your county recycling program. The EPA puts out grants sometimes that the state applies for. We have one large grant where we're working to map where recycling resources can go in the state and have the business development work with that to try to best situate different recycling facilities around the state. That's a big grant that we're working on now, but it's not a direct grant to businesses. So MDE does not have that right now. Are there any other questions that anybody might have right now? I'm gonna come out of this PowerPoint here. Okay. All right. If you have any questions, you can just unmute or raise your hand. Be pretty good. Or if I can
Tim,
clarify anything.
I have a question.
Oh, hi, Rachel.
Tim, how are you doing? I'm
Good.
with, as you know, MedStar Health. You had mentioned there were, I think, 2 or 3 counties that you can't use the state electronic form that it defers you to their website. Montgomery County was one of them.
Yeah.
What were the other 2?
Howard and Frederick.
And Frederick. Okay.
And I think Prince George is going to be doing that too. I'll have to double check. Last time I checked, they weren't diverted yet, but we have to go into we have a contractor that has to go in and make those changes, so it might not be done yet.
Okay, I was going to ask you about Prince George County because we have a hospital there, and I know that we were inspected recently for that data. So my question is how different are their reporting forms than the state?
Very similar. Some of them actually use the state's form. Other ones ask for the same kind of information, just maybe in a different format. So there's nothing that's really extremely different to between the state form and the county forms.
Okay.
So the look and the formatting might be a little different, but it's the same information.
Same information. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I ask, we have 7 hospitals in Maryland in 5 different counties, and it would be nice if we could report identical, the same for all 7. So
yes, that's something. That's a question here where, because you're in 5 different counties, you would have to submit information for each of those facilities, because we would need to send that information to those counties where they keep the record and submit the report. So if you have multiple facilities in different counties, you would have to do the report for each individual facility in whatever particular county they're in.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. The only thing is that this is actually a huge undertaking. I don't know if you realize what a big undertaking this is for people. MedStar actually has a vendor that provides a service to us because it's so enormous. I mean, we probably have over 20 different vendors or more that we deal with related to waste and recycling and disposal and all of that. It would be nice if we didn't have to duplicate efforts, and and maybe this is something I'll talk to you offline, but an opportunity to maybe interface what we already have with your system so that we don't have to put much effort into re-reporting,
Right. Shannon?
Yeah, and just to clarify, Rachel, so unfortunately, how this all kind of interacts is that each county is responsible for their own solid waste. And so the state, while we report the information, is not ultimately responsible for it. The waste is generated in each county. Hence, I recognize that it can be disruptive to businesses and whatnot. But the intention is, because each county has their own solid waste reporting requirements and also mandates. And so that's why the differentiation for this, as far as consolidated materials and how they're extracted, because if you were to send, for example, a list of the materials that you created for your entire enterprise and it crossed county lines, it's hard for us to differentiate, well, how much was generated in each county and how does that relate to their specific county reporting. And then I also wanted to provide the response to Elizabeth. She's asking if your county's different form, do you fill out the state form or the county form? The state form is there for counties that don't have their own individual reporting form. It is simply an opportunity to utilize a form across all. So if your county has one, please use that. If and is directed in that way, please use that. If not, please consider using the state form as a mechanism to report that information. And the last question that was on here, and I just wanted to clarify. So for businesses like Bioenergy Devco, where they receive materials that is organics, unless that entity has said they're diverting to there, and you would be reporting that information to that, or the hauler would be reporting that information. That's how the double counting doesn't happen, but it also makes the mandate for where you receive those materials from, such as the Bioenergy Devco receiving materials and reporting to their county where they receive that material. So that's why it's important to do the double checking that the counties execute. So I hope I answered that question for Doug as well.
Always refer to the county ahead of the state when as far as reporting it or anything, because some counties have different reporting requirements that the state doesn't. State doesn't, like I said, the only businesses that we require to report are the food diversion businesses, but some counties have different requirements. So, and different dates for reporting. So that's something definitely check on individual counties where the materials are located.
If I can make a special request, Tim and Shannon, because of the level of effort and resources that go into this reporting on our behalf, it would be nice to see your platform evolve into something that would be usable by us. Like, for instance, it would be great if we could benchmark by industry down the road, because then you guys benefit because you have data, but we also benefit too because we could see how we perform across the state. So, I mean, yeah. I'd like to see that be a goal.
Totally understand like the need for CRM, interaction and database infrastructure and whatnot. Where we sit with the state right now, that's not part of our suite of materials, but it's something that the state recognizes, not just at the Department of the Environment, but in other agencies as well.
Are there any other quick questions that we can answer? Okay, like I said, the presentation and the guide will be on MDE's webpage. The food diversion webpage is probably the best one to go to. And this recording, we'll put that up there as well. And if you have any further questions or comments, please don't hesitate to email or call us, and we can try to answer your questions as best as possible. So I want to thank everybody for coming, and have good New Year. I know